Okay, cool. Just what was I gonna say? One quick question.
Sure.
Can I curse or not? Would you prefer I don't?
Just don't say cunt and you should be fine.
All right, sounds good. I
No,
can
you can
dodge
say
that
whatever
one.
you want to.
I can dodge the others. No, I can dodge that one then. No problem. Thank you, buddy.
No, of course. But yeah, thanks again for taking the time to do this. I'm so happy we're able to do this. Ever since I was able to discover Medusian when I was going through new releases, I came across this and I was absolutely blown away by what you guys have done. And
Mm.
just seeing what is happening with library. I've seen a lot of people of my peers and people that I know talking you up as well, and that's how it got my attention. So it's cool to see that there is some popularity rising just from this release alone, and it's so cool to
That's
see
a
that.
that's really cool. I'm happy to hear that. You know, you I discovered that you had checked out the record from you tagging us and on Facebook and talking about it. And you mentioned like I heard this from this other podcast and they were not on my radar either. So the idea that it was kind of going through this pipeline of people who, when you're promoting something, you kind of know when you're going to be on different blogs or playlists or something. But when people start talking about it and you don't know it's coming, that's kind of a funny feeling. And then it's this bit of like tag almost. Okay, he heard it from him and he heard it from him, and I don't know where it started, but it's really cool and it's a real privilege, man, for sure. And
Oh,
I'm happy you like it as well.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, every time that I put it back on, it's just like I hear new layers to it, which I really appreciate, and I just
Mm,
appreciate the depths that's going into it, lyrically, everything that's going on with it. I mean, there's so much
mm,
to appreciate about this, and yeah, it's just I'm so excited to see where you guys are going to be going from here because, again, just like
mm.
Library came out this year, and obviously some songs were already recorded in the past, but the full
Mm.
release came out this year. I mean, what is that
Mm.
like for you guys?
Oh man, I mean, so I started writing these songs a couple years ago. This was kind of a new project that I was figuring out what I was going to do with it. So in a way, these songs are I don't want to say dated, but a couple years back. I had written them a couple years ago, and we started releasing them in the autumn of 24 with like a waterfall release of September, October, November, all the way into January. We had to put it back a week, which is a bummer because I turned 30 in January as well. And I wanted this record to come out before I was 30. But because of that delay, it came out just after I turned 30, unfortunately. So I messed up the timing a little bit. But I mean, it's really cool seeing that people really enjoy it. But I'm also at this point where we're getting ready to go out and start playing it for people live and whatnot. We're in the rehearsal room and everything a lot for that. And most of all, I'm writing the next one as well. So yeah, it's always up and up and up in a way. High hopes and aspirations for what we can do with it next. So
Oh,
exciting.
oh, absolutely. So,
Mm.
with that in mind, I mean, you mentioned that you've been working on these current songs for the last couple years. Like, when you were forming what eventually became Medusian, like, did you know
Mm.
what direction that you wanted to go into? Did it just come out this way? Like, how did that come together?
So the funny thing was, I used to play in a tech death band back in my early 20s and stuff. And after we
Didn't
quit
we
doing
all?
that, yeah, tell me about it,
I
man.
know I did.
So yeah, and I think most people that play tech death eventually you're miserable. But like, and but jokes aside, it's like eventually I was like, okay, I want to get back into doing so. I didn't know if I was going to do something like just uploading things to the internet as a solo thing, and maybe I would do YouTube or I don't know. I just wanted to do something creative, right? And so eventually I showed that to my friend Richard when he was staying over at my place, and he was our bass player, and he's also in Art Nation. I saw you reviewed that their new record as well.
I did. I did.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, I'd like to play bass on this," and I was like, "I'd really like if you would play bass on this record, Richard, because I'm not half the bassist on my best day that you are, and I really liked working with Richard as well." And I play in another band called Cinder with my friend Isak, and I asked him, "Hey, would you like to play drums in this?" Because it kind of started becoming a thing that could be a band as opposed to just me putting out music that I like to make. And I was like, "Hey, Isak, would you like to be in this band?" And he was like, "No." And then a year later, because he was busy and
Oh
understandable,
yeah.
different projects, and one band that he was in at the time, his main project, then ended. And we were still really good friends through even when he wasn't interested, and that was cool. And then eventually it was like, hey man, I kind of got nothing. I just got Cinder that we're both in, and he was like, "Do you want to go to the space and play these songs?" And I start rubbing my hands together. I'm like, "Why, yes, Isak, yes, I do." And so, and then all of a sudden we have a lineup, and here we are. That's kind of the way that we found our way to where we were with the lineup aspect of it. For me, I was just writing songs that I just wanted to make something again. I just wanted to go back into writing and releasing music and seeing what I can do. And I had no, not the foggiest idea what that would turn out like, right? And I wrote two songs that were not symphonic at all. They were kind of melodic death stuff, which you can hear that kind of influence in Medusian anyway.
Oh
But
yeah.
then I started writing Bottom of the Well, and if you go to the part right before the solo in Bottom of the Well, there's this melody of dun dun digga bun dun 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 dun. That's a guitar part. And when I wrote it, that's kind of a tricky part, and I was like, okay, I'll write that down in MIDI. And basically computerized notes for anybody that doesn't know what that is. Let's call it that. And I'll just have it play back as a violin so I can hear it and I'll know what it will sound like until I can record it later when I've practiced it. And I just had that violin sample from a pack that I bought for a song that I never even wrote. So I just had it sitting on my computer collecting digital dust effectively. And I heard it with that violin sample and I was like, that kind of fucking slaps actually. That's kind of good. And so I added like the chuggy guitar part underneath it. Dun dun digga dun digga 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 dun dun. And the drop in Bottom of the Well after the second chorus, that's what that was. That was an accidental programming of a violin part, so to speak. Of course, I added choirs. I had never done like symphonic music before. This wasn't a thing that I was experienced with at all with orchestra stuff. And then I started writing another song, and I wrote, seeing a pattern here, a guitar part that was like, okay, that's cool, but that's kind of hard, so I'm just going to write it down in MIDI again. And I wrote it in a violin. And I was like, hold on, that kind of slaps as a violin again. And that was the string section for the chorus of Face Stealer, the first song in the record. And I was like, hold on, am I just gonna make this? Am I gonna ditch the first two songs? And am I just gonna make this like a symphonic thing? Am I going to learn how to make this a symphonic thing as well? And that is kind of how I found myself in this genre. Of course, I love the genre as well. I believe if I recall, your number two record on your top 100 was Opera by Flesh God. Was it number two?
It was.
Yeah. Say okay. Committed listener here, clearly.
I
Metal Fairy
appreciate
put it
that.
at two as well, or was it number one?
Oh, which one?
For Metal Fairy, was it Opera for her
Oh,
as well? Number
yeah,
two or
that
number
was number
one?
one for her.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, love that record. I love Flesh God, Septic Flesh. I love the one bone I have to pick with you. Seven Spires album, Fortress called Home.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, that was my number one record, I think, of last year.
I
Uh,
did not get to hear that enough. I
yeah,
wanted to include it, but I did not get to hear it enough.
yeah, I'm a big Spires fan. I have a
Oh yeah.
flag from them over there, I all that stuff. But so jumping into the symphonic genre wasn't like I was like, you know, pulled out of retirement for one last job and I have to write pop music or something that I've never written or done or whatever. But that's how I found my way in, man. And I'm happy to be here. I'll say that. So.
Oh, that's so cool. It just
Mm.
came out of like messing around with MIDI, and then you were able to create what became Medusian. That's just so
Uh,
cool.
that and a lot of fucking money dropped into like VSTs because I'm like, okay, these strings don't sound as good as those strings, and it's a money pit. But you can do a lot with a little if you're smart. But I'm not smart, so I have to make up for that with with the right gear, I guess. But
So thinking about that, I mean, what kind of trial and error is that for you when you're able to mess with all these VSTs and all these different samples and everything? Like, how do you know
yeah.
what's going to work, what's not going to work, and being able to mess with all that?
I mean, that's when it comes to the orchestration part, I can speak more on that than the gear part because I just bought because Ulla Englund did a review of this thing called Nucleus by Audio Imperia. They it's like a pack of you get strings, you get brass, you get woodwinds, and you get choirs, right? And percussion as well. And they're kind of rudimentary. And I was using that because it was affordable, and I was just getting it for whatever I wanted to do with it at the time, right? Um, and they also have stuff like specialized libraries that are just better string sections, just better horn sections, better choirs, etc. That of course cost more, but they're specialized. And I remember because I knew Audio Imperia stuff, I would just buy their stuff because I knew what it was, I knew how to use it. And it's served me really well. I like all their stuff. But I remember upgrading my strings. That was the first thing I upgraded, my violins, my cellos, etc. And when I got it, I realized the samples sounded really similar to the entry level one that I bought from them already. And so I was like, "Oh man, did I not need to buy this? Did I spend money on something that I didn't need to buy?" But then I realized there's like instead of two techniques, there's the long notes and the short notes. This one has marcato long, marcato short, staccato, staccissimo, all these different kind of legato voices, all these things. And of course, then I'm just sitting here like, okay, I did study like classical guitar and whatnot, and you know I'm familiar with some classical. I was familiar with some classical concepts before any of this at all, but it was like, okay, what does I know what staccato and staccatissimo means, but like marcato techniques on violins and spiccato and pizzicato, all these things. I had to kind of learn it, I guess learn Italian, but go over all of these different techniques and slowly realizing that okay, no, wait a minute, that's why this thing is specialized in that it gives me more versatility. And as you grow to understand the noises you can make with it, you grow capable of using them properly, basically. And that's kind of what that was. But at the same time, I don't know if I've ever mentioned, I did not sing before I'd made Medusian either. When
I
I started
never would have
writing these,
guessed that.
thank you. That's very kind of you. I started taking vocal lessons in order to make this record, like the singing, the screaming, all of that. I did some screaming stuff when I was like 21, but then I forgot all that shit, and I started singing and screaming basically from scratch. I started vocal lessons with the amazing teacher Mina Yannipoulou. She's the guest vocalist in Bowl of Crete. That's my vocal coach, is who that is. The woman that sings at the end there. So. It was a lot of experimenting from a lot of fucking directions at the same time. Man, it was a mess in a way.
Oh, but that's so incredible though. I mean, just like speaking vocally, I mean, just the range that you have on here. It's just like the fact that you just learned how to do that from, like getting the proper technique and everything. But yeah, I would have guessed that you were doing this for such a long time.
That's really kind of you, man. I appreciate it. I really like, I'll say this in the positive way. I really like diverse vocalists as opposed to the negative way of saying like non-diverse or what have you. But because some people can really specialize in one thing and be amazing, right? But like to me, I really love a big one for me was like Into Eternity with Stu Block on those really sick records. He can
Oh
do
yeah.
high screeching and the screaming and the growling, and he can sing really, really well. And I'll mention Seven Spires again. Adrian Cowan can fucking do anything better than anybody. And even in bands like let's bring up Flesh God again, you had different vocal types from different members, even if it's not all in one person, right? And so I like diverse vocals for different atmospheres. And so I kind of learned to do all of them to an acceptable a level for my own expectations, I guess, so I could put them in the places where I felt it was appropriate.
Oh, that's so cool. And yeah, I mean, when you're able to experiment again, like with all of this orchestration, when you're able to realize what you can do vocally, I imagine that the creativity and inspiration must have started really flowing through once everything started going in the right direction.
The songs took also had a lot of changes, which is that's the reason that I started writing these songs in 2022. Yeah. And technically I could have like immediately just recorded and put the record out. But like I wanted to get my vocals going because I started singing that year as well. So I had sung for 2 years when the record finally came out. And in a way, that was a blessing in disguise because that the guitars and the stayed the same effectively. Isak wrote his drums as opposed to my shitty program drums, but like that accidentally gave me time to learn to do orchestration as well. Because in the beginning of the early Medusian demos and stuff, it's kind of like keyboards more so than an orchestration. And like you know how some bands will do more, it's not like a huge orchestra section. It's more of keyboards playing a string sample or a choir sample behind a chorus, which is very cool and it can serve that purpose really, really well. And that's kind of how it started. But eventually I was like, oh, this doesn't, when I mute everything, all the band and just hear the orchestra, this doesn't sound like an orchestra. It doesn't sound like Flesh God Apocalypse, right? So what can I do? How can I layer this? How do they do that? How do I do this? How does Gustav Holst's the planets sound like it does? How does John Williams sound like he does? You know, so I accidentally became less of a songwriter using keyboards and became an orchestrator alongside becoming a vocalist as well. And somehow I still have my hair. I don't know. I don't know how. Luckily, you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
we'll see
sure.
if I can make it through another record without losing it. So,
So, in speaking of that, I mean, obviously, again, you mentioned that you're working on new material for a new release coming out in the future. So, like, how do you feel about the improvements that you've made, especially with like the change in sound that's happened from when you started to where you are now?
yeah, so I'm gonna be cheesy for a second. It's like I remember listening to when we were getting the mixes, Library, the song specifically Library, and like some of the really big like open, fast and epic stuff. It felt the way that Time One, not Time Two, Time One made me feel when I heard it for the first time, and that was one of my big gateway records into big, epic, symphonic kind of stuff. I was really into At the Edge of Time by Blind Guardian when I was a teenager. Underrated as fuck, man. I love
Absolutely.
that record. And Time One, Time One was kind of the record that made me think like, yeah, I want to make huge stuff like that, but I didn't have the skill set for that at the time. And when Library is not that long and big and complex, but it's like it was in that direction. I was like, holy shit, man, it sounds the way it makes me feel the way that made me feel when I first heard it. And so that really excites me, and I'm trying not to just follow that really, really hard on the whole thing of the next record because one of the things I really love about the Library EP is that it's in my opinion, rather diverse in the tones it takes on. It's like it's these five different characters, and Medusian is somewhere in the middle and can adapt to all of those things. And I don't want Medusian to lose its versatility just because I kind of found something that I enjoy. I enjoy all of it, but you know what I mean? That
Oh
I don't want
yeah.
to just chase my tail with one thing. But this is the cheesy part where it's like my orchestration has made like I mean I finished the orchestration for Library about a year ago, and after that I started like educating myself in different ways. I started reading different books. I started getting different like scores for sheets of music for pieces of music that I really really loved and inspired me, as opposed to just breaking them down by ear, actually analyzing all of it. And I feel like the orchestration on the next record is already miles ahead. At least orchestration wise, you know, it's very Medusian with a lot of the guitars and the vocals and stuff. So
Oh,
some
very cool.
changes.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that as well too, where obviously I imagine that there will be at least some changes. I mean, obviously keeping
Yeah.
the core sound of what the band is all about, but
Yeah.
being able to just express yourself more. But like
Mhm.
in that time, obviously like you mentioned before, you started off doing tech death and now you're doing more in the symphonic death metal kind of stuff. I mean, how do you feel about like progressing into these other genres that you didn't necessarily start with? Like, do you feel like you're progressing in that? Is there more that you want to explore?
So that's the hardest thing with Medusian is that like it has this sound to it, and it's very much like a servant to the tone of the music at the time, and the context of the lyrics and stuff, because that's very, very important to me. The sound of everything kind of serves the core atmosphere, also presented by the lyrics. And so there are so many kind of vibes that I want to experiment with. I really love, let's say, cheeky, over the top, silly, proggy stuff where it's just really extra because it is. And is it a little silly? Yeah, but it's fucking cool. And I really want to do things like that, but I am such a melodramatic little dork that like when all of these songs are so emotionally dense and really diving into tripling down on those things that sometimes it's like finding space to do something just because I think it's kind of cool is difficult. I also am a huge jazz fusion guy. I love fusion. Isak's huge. Wow, that's a hard sentence. Isak's huge into fusion too. So Isak is also quite a connoisseur of proggy stuff like that. And we could get into some really weird stuff if we let loose. It's just setting the right atmosphere that I don't feel like it's just shoehorned in there for no reason. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why I appreciate a band like Panzer Ballet that is able to like go into the proggy, the jazz fusion, doing the Simpsons theme, doing Meshuggah's
Forget
Bleed on
about
the
it,
new
man. I
album. The
love
Metal
Panzer
Fairy
Ballet.
hates it, but I love listening to it.
Oh man, it's so good. Do you know Nuclear Power Trio?
I do.
Goated, dude. I love Nuclear Power Trio, man. Little ironic with the masks that they chose almost like 10 years ago that now it's just
Still
more and more
holds
it's
so
like
true.
is that the ones you want, in 2025? But maybe I respect the hell out of him for sticking with it as well. I knew oh wait a minute, hold on. I'm wearing an Allegiant t-shirt right now. Greg is the guitar player in Nuclear Power Trio. He's
Oh
from
yeah.
Allegiant. I used to have guitar lessons with him once upon a time. He's a lovely guy. So in the one in a million chance he's seeing this,
Well, I did
I'm
interview
angry that
Greg.
he's a great guy.
I think like 3 albums ago. I interviewed him. Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's a sweetheart. Yeah, I met him a couple times, but if he's watching this, then I don't know, censor that part. I never liked him. All right, carry on.
But yeah, it's just again, it's just I love the fact that you are so open with like the musicality and stuff, and even if you don't implement it into the music that you're doing, it's just good to be able to listen to different stuff. That way, you don't feel like you're getting
100%.
pigeonholed into what you're listening to, what you might be able to make in the future, all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
I have like entire periods of time where I'm not really listening to metal very much. Poser alert, I guess. But it's like I had like some of the artists that I've listened to the most. Marina, like Marina and the Diamonds,
Yeah,
pop singer. She was my number one on Spotify 3 years in a row, I think. And then Kendrick Lamar was I think my number four, number three last year. I love Kendrick. Uh, I really like a lot of stuff like Ash Nico. I really enjoy. Um, there are times that I just kind of step away from it. A lot of soundtracks, stuff like that. But metal is the language that I am the most proficient in, and that is why I choose to express myself with it, so to speak.
oh, absolutely.
But
But yeah, getting back into library as well. I mean, obviously, again, it's like my first exposure into what you do, and of course, with Medusian. And there's so much to love about it audibly, but visually, I really love the cover that you chose for it. So I think it's just a great representation for the release. How did that come about?
oh man, I'm glad you asked because I love that cover art so much. I feel if you turn on like Bowl of Crete or the really brutal part of Bottom of the Well, I feel that some people might not feel that it clicks with that, but I feel like as a whole, I think it's a really good representation. How did that come about? I saw a girl on Instagram Reels when I was doom scrolling, and she posted a reel where she basically was like, um, it was a roulette, it was a filter, it was a roulette of three emojis, and she had to do art based on that. She just had to make something, and I was like, "Oh, this will be kind of cool. Let me see what she's capable of, what she's gonna do with these emojis or whatever." And it was like just I mean, you've seen what the cover art looks like.
Oh
It was
yeah.
like a mountain with snow and like a black hole in the sky and like a fantasy forest. I was just so caught up in her art. I was like fucking follow her like immediately and just see all her stuff. And she she's got a lot of followers. She's not just some rando or which is also respectable to be clear. She's regarded in her. She's done mostly books, I think, a lot of like fantasy book covers. Her name is Katarina Witkovska. Uh, Wonderful artist. And I just hit her up. I was like, hey, would you please do the cover for my album? Of course, I paid her for it, but
Oh yeah.
and the cover looks amazing, and I just love looking at it. And I'm gonna be petty for a minute. In a lot of in an ocean of AI, it's nice to look at that and know, that's exactly what I wanted. And it looks like that because I wanted that color and style because I knew that artist specifically. I didn't just get somebody to make exactly what I want. I wanted her to do her thing, just my touch to make it make sense with my music. And I need to have a print of it on the wall up here somewhere. I love that. I love that cover.
Oh, absolutely. So,
Mm.
with that in mind, I mean, like, how much of her original idea and what you wanted to make, like, how much back and forth was there to be able to get it to what it is now?
Oh man, it was incredibly easy. She's super professional. Like I just emailed her like, "Hey, would you do this?" She's like, "Yep, here's my price." Awesome. I have this general idea. Would you make it work? And also I sent her 3 images that she's done before. I like the way you use color in these 3. Can you just incorporate something like that, please? And she's like, "Yep, no problem." She sent me like I don't know if they were pencil sketches, like actually pencil, but like line work in Photoshop, let's say, and sent me that like, hey, it's kind of looking like this, and then sends me like, do you want it more like this? Are these portions okay as 1 by 1 scale? You know what that means? Okay, and all these things, and it was basically like immediately just her first draft of like, yeah, just add the details to that, and in the end, funny enough, if you look at that cover, there's in the bottom of all of it and the top right and left corners, there's like black and slightly red, like fog, smoke kind of thing. That wasn't there. And I said to her, is there anything that you think this thing is missing? Is there anything that you think it could use? She's like, I think this would look cool. And I'm like, that looks so fucking cool. I'm glad I asked. So, I mean, it was super simple. It was first concept. Maybe I'm easy to please. Maybe I was just happy to see her kind of artistic vision come out in it. But it was the easiest process getting that album art made. You know, she's
Oh,
she's she's wonderful. She's really great.
Oh, it's so great to hear that. I mean, especially when you were able to take this into what was essentially like your original idea, and then you're able to expand it into a full band. You're able to get outside people to be able to work on this, with
Yeah.
the album work, everything that's going to be going on forward, and hopefully even more great stuff that'll happen with the band in the future. When you're able to find those people that want to work towards the same goal that you're looking forward to, it just makes everything so much simpler.
Oh my God, it's just so pleasant and fun as well. It's very motivating. It doesn't feel like you're grinding your teeth at all of it. It feels like you're making something in the way that it's supposed to be fun. So
Oh, absolutely. And I just think about like all the bands that I've been a part of, and I just think like there's a reason you haven't heard my music yet is because the bands always fell apart like either as we were recording or right after the album came out, so we couldn't
yeah,
release the music. And
it's
it's
tough.
just like when not everyone's working towards the same goal, and everyone has different ideas, and just like a
Mhm.
polarizing things that can happen, it makes
Oh,
everything fall apart. But when you're able to find those right things that's going on, it's incredible thing to see, and that's what's got me so excited. Obviously, again, with you working on new material, I can't wait to see what everyone else's new input is going to be a part of this. I mean, especially when
yeah.
it's all brand new material.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Um, we have a second guitar player that is being introduced soon. Um, Perhaps by the time this is out, I'm not sure. But either way, spoiler alert, I guess that's fine. I don't mind people knowing that. And he and I were working on a song with some ideas that he had that I kind of just massaged into the right direction, so to speak, for not the right direction, that a better direction, but a right direction to kind of match the aesthetic of some of the things that we generally do. And Isak has also our drummer has also written a song for the record as well, almost completely. I've done a little bit of okay, move that part here, move that part here. I've added to his orchestration because Isak is truly a unicorn in the sense that he is a drummer who is also very capable of things like orchestration and whatnot. You know, there are drummers that are drummers, which are amazing, and we need many, many, many of them. And then there are drummers that are like kind of limitless as well. You know, both incredibly valuable, but Isak is a truly another breed. So I'm really excited for both of them to both of these voices to kind of get introduced as well, and not just my own. So
Oh, absolutely. And of course, you mentioned it at the beginning, and I see I'm gonna have to wrap up eventually. The timer on Zoom started coming in, but I
no
wanted to make
worries,
sure
man.
that I got this. Is you mentioned that you guys will be performing in the live setting, and that's so incredible to see that these songs are finally going to be getting that live recognition it deserves. Like, how does it
Hmm.
feel to start working on the set list, deciding what songs are going to make it in, and how it's going to be incorporated into a live show?
You'll have to ask me after the next record because the thing is, with one EP out, we are doing. Oh, I'm trying to think if I should say this. Okay, if you're watching this deep into the interview, you deserve to know, so that's fine. We'll be most of the time, if we're doing a full 40 to 45 minute set, which is the gig that we're currently preparing for, that's what we're doing. It's the full EP, a new song, and a
Ooh,
cover. So, which I'll tell you the cover when the interview is over, but
okay,
I don't want everyone else to know because
sure.
I want that to be a cool surprise. But it's a classic metal song that does not have symphonic elements traditionally, but I wrote an entire orchestra arrangement for it, so it's pretty cool. And I think I'm looking at recording it as well, so we can have it as a proper like release on Spotify if the gods will allow me to have a cover on the internet that I did not write, and I don't just get sued out of existence or something. I don't know how licensing works. We'll look into that. You know.
Oh, for
So
sure. Yeah,
yeah,
that
man.
that I can't wait to see what that's going to be. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
I'm again, just like thinking of everything that's off of library. It's like I can't wait to see how these songs translate into the live setting because I can just imagine like the sonic force of everything that can happen through all of that. And I'm so
Mm,
glad that it is something that will be getting live
mm.
shows behind it because I think these songs really do deserve to be played live.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Do you, if I can indulge, I'm just curious. Do you have a favorite? Because you talk about the record a bit, and so I'm always curious what people's stick out songs are, so to speak.
Oh yeah, for sure. Toy Maker was the first one that I heard that really did grab my attention. Then I was able to go through the whole
Mm,
album. Bottom of the Well is another one I enjoy too. I do
mm.
appreciate how heavy that gets amongst everything else that goes wrong there, and also the title track as well too. Like I think those are the three off the top of my head that like stand out to me the
Yeah.
most. But no,
Mm.
it's just like I think it also depends. Like if I listen to it again, I might choose some other songs that go along with
For
it.
sure.
But
You know,
yeah, I think it is just a kind.
Toy Maker's probably my favorite as well. So
Nice.
I get that. Toy Maker's just got such a good vibe to it. It's fun. It's a little gothic, theatrical, self-indulgent stuff that, like I said, finding the way to be self-indulgent in this melodramatic shit is it's kind of good sometimes. So,
Oh yeah, and again, that's another reason why I appreciate this release so much is again that
mm,
sure, you can get self-indulgent, you can get melodramatic on there, but sometimes it can get super heavy, sometimes it gets a bit more simpler, sometimes it's super
mm,
super catchy and it's just like it's so well-rounded, like it never hits too far into one direction. Like all of it makes sense together even when it does go into other ideas, and it just makes for a great listening experience from start to finish. I appreciate it's not just a collection of songs. Like all of this does feel like it fits together.
thank you, man. That's really kind of you. I'm happy you're happy about it. I guess I'll say it like that because I'm not good with words right now. I don't know.
Oh, I
But
totally understand. But yeah, I mean, again, just like the more that I listen to it, the more that I do appreciate it. And again, it makes me so excited for the future of the band. Again, it's like we talked about the live setting, being able to
mm,
incorporate new members into the lineup, the new
mm,
music that'll be coming in the horizon whenever that does happen, and just seeing like the experience just rise from everyone in the band being able to articulate their own ideas, bringing in their own songs. Of course,
yeah,
you being able to progress as a musician and songwriter and everything else that
mm.
goes along with that. It's just like I'm imagining it now, and I just see bigger and bigger things happening, and I just can't wait for it all to happen.
I have high hopes, man. I'm glad you see it as a bright way forward, and you won't have to wait long either. I'll say that. Obviously, we just put out a record this year, so I'm not teasing that we're dropping something next month, but we're not gonna be, I'm not putting out any Kickstarters with a studio and a sauna just yet, so we'll
and
get there.
and have like almost a third of the album just be Leaves in the Wind.
Those were nice leaf samples, though, man. You don't know how much
Oh,
time
they were
that
the
took.
best Leaf samples
That
I've
was,
ever
bro,
heard.
that was half the Kickstarter, man. Some respect. Hello. Come on now. Anyway, respect the
Oh,
foliage, man. Come on. Anyway,
oh.
but
Oh,
yeah, so not a
with
long
a little
wait.
bit of bashing on there, but again,
What can you do?
thank you so much again for taking the time to be able to talk to me about everything in your world, and of course I'm Medusian, and of course that
Mm,
well, of course it's been out for a little bit of time now, getting close to half a year, but
yeah.
a library available now. Anyone checking this out for the first time, or if you are familiar with Medusian, go back and check it out, or check it out for the first time if you're just checking out this interview, and yeah, I got to learn more about you. I love the way that you've come from where you have, and you're able to just like train the voice that you have for just a couple years to be able to pull off what you're doing, going from tech death into symphonics the way that you have, and everything that's going to be going on in the future, getting this awesome lineup with such magnificent musicians to be able to back the original vision that you had, and yeah,
Yeah.
everything that's going forward. Like I know I've done a lot of interviews and I do a lot of reviews and stuff like this, but it always means so much to me when I'm able to talk to good people about good music, and just being able to talk to you and just seeing where you are right now and just imagining where it's going to be going in the future. It's a real honor to be able to talk to you, and at this
Eh,
point, right before things get bigger and better from here on out.
It's an honor, man. I really appreciate it. So I hope, not the last time we'll talk either, I hope. So it's a real privilege to be on the show. I watch it just for my own enjoyment. You've got me through some shifts at work, I'll tell you that. So
I
I appreciate
appreciate
it, brother.
that. I know both the Metal Fairy and I really do appreciate that. She absolutely loves what you guys do, and yeah, just like I'm glad I can like show this off to her, show this off to everyone that's listening to this, all of that good stuff.
Fantastic, man. I really appreciate it. I do.
Uh, oh, awesome. Well, I see I got a little over a minute left before this is going to close off, and
Yeah, buddy.
I would like to try to do a proper ending before Zoom
No
cuts off.
worries.
But
Do it.
yeah, again, awesome. Thank you again for taking the time to do this. Of course, Medusian Library out now. Look forward to potential show dates and new music on the horizon and everything. Is there anything else you'd like to mention before this wraps up?
Uh, watch heavy debriefings. Listen
Thank you.
to Medusian. Listen to Cinder. Keep an eye out for Winter Sun crowdfunding. Wait for the next Seven Spires records. It's gonna be better than whatever I'm doing. I don't know. Don't forget to subscribe. Can I say that if I'm a musician? Smash that like button. I don't know. All right, cool. Sub to my Patreon. Whatever you want to do, man. I'm not good at outros. This is your job, not mine.
Oh yeah, I'll close it out again. Thank you
Cool.
so much again, Medusian. Go check out library right now. Everything get along with that. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It was an awesome
You
time to
too,
do
brother.
this.
See you around.
All right, see you around. All right, bye
Take
bye.
care.